Sometimes the Torah teaches us exactly what we need to learn in the exact right moment, and sometimes it doesn't. For example, most of the time I don't need to learn about what color the curtains need to be in the tabernacle, or how many days a woman is impure after having a boy versus a girl. It's difficult to relate to the information regarding ox, sheep, and goats. It's more of a stretch to make it relatable to our lives. In this week's Torah portion, however, Vayishlach, the Torah gives us an aspirational story that comes just in time. Nearly 8 weeks into the war in Israel, the Torah invites us into the private lives of our ancestors to provide an example of what is possible. Now, normally the Torah is very terse and doesn't love adjectives or emotion, so we don't often get to crawl under the skin of the people that we descend from. But this Shabbat, the scene that is described is one that many of us might have dreamt of before, and especially since October 7th. Jacob and Esau haven't seen each other in 20 years, not since the birthright switch. Jacob is traveling and he realizes that he is going to run head on into his brother, and he is scared, really scared. Jacob is convinced that Esau is still fuming over stealing the birthright, and he will either kill him, kill his family, or both. And truth be told, in the beginning, Jacob didn't want to go through the plan at all. He felt bad about tricking his father. He told his mother, Rebekah, that he will be cursed if he goes through with the plan. And Rebekah answered the way every Jewish mother has responded to a challenge facing her child. The curse will be upon me. Basically, she was saying it's my fault, like everything is my fault. So Jacob went through with it, and in doing so, hurt Esau and turned brothers into enemies. Knowing this, when Jacob realizes that he and Esau are about to run into each other with their families and flock in tow, Jacob is terrified. So he does what any of us might do. He tries to butter up his brother. Jacob sends messengers to Esau with gifts. He makes sure the messengers refer to him as Esau's servant. Basically, he's trying to bribe his brother with gifts and humility. And in the end, Esau wants neither. The Torah tells us that he sees his brother, falls on Jacob's neck, and weeps. Imagine this scene: 2 grown men separated by deceit for 2 decades, and the one who is on the losing end falls on his brother and cries. It's an absolutely breathtaking scene. In the end, for Esau, all that mattered was that he made peace with his brother, nothing else. Jacob still assures his brother that nothing he has, none of his wealth, is a result of the birthright that he stole, but rather his own hard work. Esau doesn't care about Jacob's wealth. Esau tells his brother that each of them should go their own way and live their own lives. He doesn't ask that they have a relationship from that moment on. Esau begrudgingly takes some of the gifts that Jacob offered only because Jacob continues to insist. Then they go their separate ways, and as far as we know, they never meet again. Now, in between Jacob's realization that he's about to meet his brother and the actual meeting, he wrestles with an angel the entire night. When Jacob prevails, the angel asks his name. He answers Jacob. The angel says, "No longer will your name be Jacob, but rather Yisrael," which means God wrestler, because you wrestled with God and men and prevailed. But Jacob did not leave that encounter unscathed. He injured his hip. He walked away forever changed in body, spirit, and name. That fight is our inheritance. Being Jewish can be a struggle between do's and don'ts, right and wrong, but that's okay. It's in our DNA to wrestle and debate and to fight with each other. Judaism is meant to be intellectually and even physically strenuous at times. The challenge comes from within ourselves and within each other by design. What we have faced for centuries and what we are facing now is how hard it is to be Jewish because of forces without. I had a fascinating conversation the other day about the struggle that some people are having with Israel's robust response to the attack on October 7th. They are concerned that the Israel bombing Gaza, where civilians get caught, is not who we are as Jews. And my response was, it's not who we are. We did not choose this war. But since we were attacked, we will not and cannot remain dormant. For centuries, we didn't have the ability to defend ourselves. We didn't have any place to defend. Our homes would be burned and our people murdered, and we had no recourse. So we dug deep, found our seemingly eternal resilience, and built our homes and synagogues once again. Over and over and over, we have done this on every corner of the planet. We don't have to anymore. Israel is a sovereign nation with an army comprised of citizens who are honored and ready to fight to protect their country. For perhaps the first time in history, the Jewish people are not without defense, self-defense. Israel is standing up and saying, no more pogroms. Our history of being without a country and without a defense is over. We will defend the dream of Lihiot Am Chovshi Be'artseinu, to be a free people in our own land. War is not who we are. And perhaps my generation and those younger than me are not used to seeing Israel at war. It feels shocking. But we have fought off enemies before, even at our weakest. Think of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. Waging war is not who we are. Killing of any sort is not who we are. But strong, proud, ready to defend ourselves and our right to exist, that is who we are. In that same conversation, I explained that our Torah is actually quite replete with war. From nations we encountered while wandering the desert to conquering the land of Israel as recorded in the book of Joshua, the children of Yisrael, remember that's Jacob. Yisrael is Jacob, the God wrestler. They fought. We never wanted to fight again, but it is in protection of our homeland, so fight we will. I am not uncaring. I am not excusing civilian casualties. It's abhorrent. But if you dropped from the sky today and learned the world's reaction to the current situation, you'd probably believe there were no Jewish casualties. And if there were, we're not really seeing a lot of compassion for them. So when we are faced with an existential crisis where winning means Israel exists and losing means it might not, yes, we will fight. And if we have to do it alone, we will. It's not like we haven't fought by ourselves before. This is the kind of sermon I worry about streaming live and living on the internet, because my words and sentiments could be twisted in such a way that I could be called uncaring and unfeeling, that I hate Palestinians and care nothing for their lives. Nothing could be further from the truth. Remember me, I'm the rabbi who weeps when I read that Esau fell on Jacob's neck and cried. I am the rabbi who still dreams that the two sides can come together, fall on each other, and cry. I know it's naive and simplistic, and I'm almost ashamed to say it out loud. But can you imagine before October 7th, if brothers and sisters from different sides of the fence met face to face? Imagine if they decided they were done fighting and fell on each other's shoulders and wept. And then, like Jacob and Esau, went their separate ways and lived in peace in their own lands. This fairy tale exists in a world where a two-state solution is possible, where weapons of war are laid down and coexistence occurs. Right now, that seems entirely impossible. And I realize it might even be insulting to some people, because after what happened in Israel, how dare I even suggest any kind of laying down of weapons? There's too much pain and too many fresh wounds, and the grief is too heavy. That's understandable, but there's a tomorrow and a day after, and we must consider what will come next. We waited and prayed for Shnot Alpayim, 2,000 years to live in our homeland. Sadly, for that realized dream to continue for 2,000 more, we're going to have to fight for it. But I refuse to give up the notion of peace. I will not give up on a dream that one day Jacob and Esau will embrace once more, even agree to just tolerate each other, even if totally separately in their own lands, they live out their days in peace. For this I pray and so much more. Shabbat Shalom.